Hey guys, just wanted to share my testimony with you of how I became a Christian because I know that at the moment there's a lot of curiosity because people are coming back to church and they're curious about faith and Bible sales are going up and everything. And so just thought I'd share my journey. And it started in 2008 when I was working on a cruise ship. And yeah, I just got to the point where I'd reached to where I'd wanted to be. I'd always wanted to do that. And I just remember sitting in this room, looking out the window and thinking, there's got to be more to life than this. Like, we can't just exist to work, live, and then die, and then that's it. And so, although I had gone to church as a child, and so I did believe in God, from the age of 16, I started work and then got involved in the whole party life and everything. And yeah, and so I was kind of content to a point, but just felt like there was something missing. And so I had this picture of me as I was looking out the window and just sort of thinking about life and there being more. And I had this picture of me working with children, just volunteering, just giving back in some way. And then the next day, this guy came in for a hot towel shave. So I'm doing that. And then within less than a minute, he just said to me, "Hey, can I ask you a question? Do you believe in God?" And so I said yes, because I did. I didn't believe in anything else. And he said, "Okay, because God's got a plan for your life. What you're doing right now is not what you're meant to be doing, and your life is going to change." And so it's really like he was speaking into my situation. And I even got a bit emotional and I thought, oh no, don't let him see you cry. And so he gave me a Bible at the end of that conversation and said it wasn't a coincidence. And he even wrote my name in it and highlighted a verse, which was John 3:16. And then the next day it was my day off on the beach and we went to St. Lucia. And there was this native guy and he came up to me and he said the same thing, like word for word, the same thing. He asked me if I believed in God. And when I said yes, he said, "Okay, because God's got a plan for your life. What you're doing right now is not what you're meant to be doing and your life's going to change." And so that was kind of crazy because it wasn't connected. It was two separate guys, two separate locations, like 2 days in a row. And so God really got my attention. And then this guy had also said things about me that no one would have known. He was describing my personality. And then he described the charity that he does on this land. He said it's like working with children, it's doing crafts and stuff. And that was like the picture that I had in my mind a couple of days before. And so, yeah, that was kind of crazy. And yeah, so God really got my attention. And then when I'd got back on the ship, I kind of didn't really explain it that way to my manager. It just kind of came out of, oh, there was this guy on the beach and he wanted to give me some land because that's what he had said. He gave me a business card and had said, I really felt that God said that it's you and that I need to give this land to you. He said that I've been praying for 3 years because God put it in my heart to give it to someone. And I've had people offer to buy it off me and everything, but God has said, no, wait for the right person. And then when I saw you, that's when God had said, and give it to you. And so that kind of blew my mind and just really felt that God was seeking me out and calling me to him. And then, long story short, I didn't take the land. I kind of, after speaking to my manager and him saying, "Becky, no, you are not getting off the ship. You are not going to meet that guy." It did kind of make me think, okay, that did sound a bit crazy. Even though I felt in my heart it was genuine and that it was right. I didn't do it. And then when I had finished that contract and went home, it was just this really weird season of nothing opened up. Like when I was looking for a job and trying to push doors, everything just slammed shut in my face. And it was really bizarre because even friends were saying, oh, come and work for me, just send your CV, like do it formally and everything. And then I'd hear nothing back. It was so strange because up until the cruise ship, I mean, I'd only had a few jobs, but things just opened up. And then this was a season of like everything just not working. And then I started going back to church. And I remember one night I'd seen a bit of the Passion for Christ, the bit where Jesus was crucified. And I found that really disturbing. And I just remember going to my room and I was crying out to God and saying, like, God, if you are real, why would you allow that? Why would you allow Jesus to suffer that pain when you're God? You can forgive us any way you want. And I just felt like him say to me, Becky, you don't need to know the answers to all the questions, just trust me. And so the next day I'd gone to church and there were a couple of baptisms. And then at the end, the pastor stayed in the pool and had said, I've got a prophecy of 4 more people that are going to get baptized today. He said one was in their room and they were crying out to God and asking him questions. And then he said, don't worry, you don't need to know the answer to all the questions, just trust me. And so that really spoke to my situation. And then he said, 3 more. And then we'd all 4 of us had walked forward, and it had been snowing that day, and I literally just got baptized in the clothes that I was wearing. And thankfully my cousin lived just down the road, so she was able to come back with some clothes that I could borrow. And then after that, I felt that he helped me give up smoking, because it's something I'd been trying to give up for years. And then I just really felt like him helped me within a day just give up smoking. It was just don't do the next one, just don't do the next one. And then the next day, the smell of it made me feel sick. If I was behind someone in the street smoking, I had to overtake them and walk past because it really made me feel ill. So that was a blessing. And then, what happened after that? Yeah. And so I thought, okay, God, this is great. It was just this, after I got baptized, it was just this feeling of complete peace and joy and lightness and just this real wanting everyone to know about Jesus. But I didn't know what to do with my life because nothing was opening up. And then I felt like him say, go to Kazakhstan with your church, the people that are going on a missions trip, and then I'll show you what I want you to do. And so I didn't have any money, but I just felt I needed to say yes, that I would go. And then I got a job after saying yes. I got a job and then went to Kazakhstan. And that was a blessing because even though I had a job, actually people had donated in the church and paid for us all to go. So that was a huge blessing. And then while I was out there, we were working in a school. It was a Christian school that the government had kept trying to close down. And yeah, it was a bit of a communist country, but it failed every time to close it down. And I was working with children, it was teaching English, and I absolutely loved it. And then I felt like, God, show me, that's what I want you to do. And I kind of hesitated at first because I thought I was not a fan of English at school. I mean, I spoke it, but I didn't care what a verb was or a pronoun or anything. And I sometimes struggled to read out loud and my spelling was terrible. And I thought, God, are you sure? Like, really? You want me to teach English? And the door opened up, I did the course and I passed, and that I believe was a miracle in itself. And then my pastor had said to me, hey, if you want, you can use the church, because I was thinking of doing my own classes and starting my own business. And so he allowed me to use the church to decorate the room and everything. And he even said, just write out a list of everything you need, because I didn't have any money at that point. And he said, just write out a list of everything you need and we'll see how we can help you. So I wrote out a list and no one had seen that list. And then the next day, a guy from the church came up to me and said, hey, I heard that you were going to start teaching English. He said, do you need a whiteboard? And that was one of the things on the list. And he said, because there's a massive one in a skip just down the road. So we went to go and get it, and we asked if we could take it. And it was an adult education centre that they said, well, do you need anything else? Because we're refurbishing, and so if there's anything else you need. So I was able to get loads more things on the list, like tables, chairs, and even this whole kitchen unit area, which wasn't on the list, but that was a really cool bonus. And then just the books, like the books were so expensive to get. So I'd really tried to just like, right, I'll just get a few and then I'll just photocopy stuff I need from them. But anyway, one of the girls that I'd gone to Kazakhstan with, she said, Becky, you do realise I work for the government department is teaching English as a second language, and there are whole resources that you can get for free, like all the books, all the lesson plans, all the student stuff, it's all printable. And so I was able to get all that for free. And then someone else had said to me, oh, Becky, there's this starting up your own business course that is free to go to. And I went, and it was brilliant. I mean, there was all the information that you needed to start up your own business. They helped you with marketing. They gave you all the resources, and they even had fancy coffee and snacks, and it was all free. So that was really cool. And yeah, and then my pastor had come up to see the room all decorated and said it was really good, and that all I needed was a flat screen computer. Well, the next day, my cousin had come to visit, and she saw the room, and then she said to me, oh, by the way, I don't know if you know anyone that needs a flat screen computer, do you? So I kind of laughed, because for me, that was just like the last thing that was needed. And she said because her boyfriend works in a university and they update the computers every year. And I mean, it's kind of wasteful, but they throw away the old ones and then get new ones. And so she gave me a flat screen computer. So that was like the last thing on the list, which was really good. And so, yes, in a nutshell, that is my testimony of how I became a Christian. And there is more of the journey, but I will share that on other videos. But I hope that's been encouraging. And if you are curious and want to know more about faith, then feel free to comment. And also I'd recommend watching Alpha videos online, which are really helpful. And so thank you for listening, and I'll see you in other videos. Bye.